Hello everyone, welcome back to our last chassis assembly video. So this is the fourth one. So we're just basically going to go in and finish up the rear assembly. So let's jump right in. Let's insert. Let me think about this. Let's see. I want to insert our rear wheel mounts. Right, so we have two of them. So let's go ahead and insert that. I'm gonna go into my car project and it's gonna be car parts 2. And I wanna, with my configuration, it's gonna be the rear. That's exactly what I want. I'm gonna click OK. And I'm gonna place one here. And let's fully mate that one. So I'm gonna click mate. It's gonna be a concentric mate here. Another, you select the faces, concentric mate here, and let's mate these two faces. So it's going to be two 832 by 1.5 socket head cap screws for these two. So let's go insert component, car project, vendor parts. Be screws, and then in this case we'll be using 832 by 1.5, so that's 9-1. Let's see if I can find it. 832 by 1.5 cap screw, 9125 A194. Let's put this somewhere here. Let's rotate that. You can also rotate components from here. If I click on rotate component, I can just click on it. I just find that by holding down the right mouse or right click, I can rotate that. So let's add a concentric mate. And let's do the bottom face to that top face on the chassis. And again, we're just going to add a parallel relation to lock that rotation. Let's replicate the same thing here. Right, I'm just going to grab that cap screw. And let's click mate. Again, basically doing the same process again. Pretty straightforward. What I want to do here, right, I don't want to do the same thing again, so I can mirror those components. Before I do that, let's do new. I'm gonna call this rear. What should we call this? Rear wheel mount. Let's throw those mates in there. And let's select, I'm going to call this, before I do that, I'm just going to mirror that. So let's do mirror components. My mirror plane is going to be my front plane. My components are going to be my wheel mount and my two screws. Perfect, we got that on the other side. I'm going to create a new folder, call that rear wheel mount. The folder I already have it here, so let's call it wheel mount. Again, this is kind of a preference thing. You can create a folder that contains all the rear assembly if you would like. I just kind of create subfolders as I find necessary, but it's up to you. So let's insert our axle, car parts 2. I'm gonna make that, right? Select that face, make sure it's concentric with my, let me flip the direction, right? I want this to be on this side, right? It's not symmetric. Click OK. Right, so now it rotates around that concentric circle, but I want it to be centered. So the best way to do this is if I select the right plane, and I want to make that with my front plane. And I'm going to add a coincident make. So now it rotates, and it's exactly in the center. So if I look up in the top view, it's exactly where I want it. Perfect. So let's go ahead and save. I want to insert the shaft collar now. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna create a new folder, call it so mates. I only have 2. My axle part. Let's insert a component. I believe that's a vendor part. Let's see. 6mm shaft collar. I want to insert that part. Again, it's going to be, we're just going to add a concentric mate here. I also want to add another mate between that face and that face, right? But also I want this to move with respect to the axle. So again, the best way to do this, if I select that bottom face of the set screw, so this shaft collar comes with a built-in set screw. So it's not 2 different separate parts, it's one part. So I'm going to add parallel relation between those 2 faces, right? So now as this rotates, as my axle rotates, the shaft collar rotates with it. So let's go ahead and try and save now. I try and save as often as I can, just because our assembly is getting bigger, and depending on if you're using a school computer, sometimes it may not be able to handle it. So I just like to hit save so I'm not losing much if something crashes. What I want to do now, so let's insert, let's go to car project, right? I want to insert my wheels, and I want to insert my rear configurations. Again, right here, my rear configuration. If it's set to front, make sure you set that to rear. Place that here. I want to mate that concentric with my axle. I also want to make sure that this face is coincident with that face. So right now these are not related, right? I can rotate this or rotate these separately. So I gotta make sure I can link these 2. And we're gonna do that by setting, putting in a set screw. So if I go to insert component. I'm going to go to my vendor parts, screws, and it's going to be the 832 3/8 set screw. And I'm going to insert that set screw. So now let's think about this, right? We're going to have to relate this set screw with our wheel and the hub. And then we're going to have to relate the set screw with the axle, so everything is related to each other. So let's start by adding concentric mate. Let me think about it. So let's see. Let's select the bottom edge. And I'm gonna place it this right here. Right, so now as this rotates, that rotates with it. The next thing I want to do is, if I select my bottom edge again, I want it to be coincident with that plane. Again, if you want, you can add a parallel relation between the set screw and the axle. But now, if we did that correctly, if we rotate the wheel, right, the set screw is what's connecting the rotation of the axle with the wheel, just as it would be in a real life scenario. So let's clean this up a bit, right? So we have axle. So let's do right here. So I guess these can still be. I'm thinking if I should throw everything here. So let's rename this. I'm just gonna rename this to driver mates, right? Okay, technically this is what driving the car. I'm gonna throw these in there. Again, this is kind of a preference thing. If you wanted to create an additional folder, you're more than welcome to do so. I'm gonna create a new folder here and just do rear wheel. Let's throw these in there. Now let's mirror those parts. So if I do mirror components, and it's going to be my front plane, and I want the whole. I don't want the axle. I want the collar, the wheel, and my set screw. Okay. So as I rotate that, everything rotates. Perfect. So we're almost there. I'm gonna save. So let's add. Let's insert component, vendor parts, and let's add our 32 spur gear. Right, we need an additional one here. Let's click mate. Again, this already has the set screw built in, so I can just add a parallel relation between these two. So at this point, I want this to move as I locate the motor and bracket assembly. I'm Hit save. And let's insert I'm going to insert components or assemblies. Let's do motor and bracket assembly. Motor and bracket assembly. I'm going to rotate this. One thing I want to point out, if I go back to this, oh, sorry. Where's my motor and bracket assembly? Is from the previous video. What all I did is I just went back and I changed the last mate to be coincident to that face. Right in the beginning, we added it so it's coincident to the back. We actually want it so this face is coincident to the front. So make sure you go back and fix that if you have not done so. Just because looking through it, I believe this works better when we rotate, when we make everything. So what I want to do is I'm going to add a mate between the bottom face and this right here. I also want to add a mate between the slot and the circle. Let's see if that, I'm going to look from the top view, see if I can locate this better. I'm going to add another one here. So now I can slide this. And that's going to be important when I try to locate this. What I want to do now, again, we want to locate this. We want to make sure these two faces are coincident. So let's add another mate between that face and that face. That looks like it's close. And let's do this. Let's, before I do that, I'm gonna save. And let's do, I believe what I want to do here, right? So this rotates. I want to make sure that my mates here, I have this coincident, this parallel, that's okay. The shaft rotation lock, I want to it's not letting me feature. It's not letting me suppress that for some reason. I don't want to add a component. I believe because it's a sub-assembly. So let's open the assembly, sub-assembly. I'm gonna shift rotation, so I'm gonna suppress that. So I should be able to rotate that. I'm gonna save that. Exit back. Model contained within the assembly have changed. Would you like to rebuild the assembly now? Yes, I do want that too. Maybe if I regenerate, I can't get that to rotate. I should be able to rotate. Let's see. If I go back to my motor bracket sub-assembly, this is free to rotate. Guess I want that to be, so I'm not quite quite sure why I can't rotate that here. So let's, maybe if we add the brake mates, that will fix it. So let's go to mate. In this case, we want mechanical mate. It's going to be a gear. It's going to be this face and that face. And click OK. And it's moving. That's what we want. Right, it's rotating that, but this is now rotating. So if I go to mates, that's weird. So actually, let me try and fix that. So what I might want to do here is make sure that's someone to serve. So what I want to do to lock that distance, let's try that. Let's add distance mate to here. Let's do that. I wanted to tell me what that distance is. Let's do 0.12. Again, something is locking the rotation of that. So I'll pause and I'll try to figure it out. I'm not quite sure, and I'll get back to it. So I'll be right back. Okay, apologize for that. I figured it out. So the only thing that was missing was if you go to motor and bracket assembly and click so component properties, and you just want to make sure it's solved as flexible. So now this rotates. If I rotate that, the motor rotates, and so on. Again, so since, right, so we added, if I go back to my mates, we added a gear mate between these two. I also added a distance mate between these two, that's 0.10 or inches. And depending where you want your gear to be, you can move that down or down a bit, right? You can slide that as much as you'd like. Also have that again. I showed you guys that I added that coincident mate. So now as I rotate this, I have my overall assembly rotating. Perfect. So the last thing I want to do is just add some hardware to bolt down that motor bracket. So let's do mates. I'm gonna do right here. What are these? These mates. I'm gonna do. Let's do folder motor mates. So let's do that. So I have an 832 button head cap screw. So I'm gonna go insert. Let's do, project, vendor parts, screws, and it's gonna be 832. So it's gonna be an 832 button head cap screw, which is 337, 306. That's what we need. So let's make that. throw a face, so you can add parallel mate if you would like. I'm gonna do the same thing. Oh, something is, I have an issue with my mates. Distance, let's delete that parallel mate. Let's do this, face and that. That should work. All right, I'm now over defining the sketch. Let's grab another one of these, right? And I'm gonna click mate. Again, it's gonna be a concentric mate here. That face, motor bracket face. Again, you can do a parallel mate there too. The last thing I want to do is throw in some hex nuts in the bottom. So let's go to insert component, some nuts. It's going to be an 832. So it's going to be the 488009. And let's do mate. Let's add a concentric mate here. And there. Parallel mate here. Let's throw another one in there. Let's add concentric mate here. Maybe slide this down so we can easily meet that bottom face, bottom of the chassis. Maybe add a parallel mate to that. Oh, I'm overcomplicating the. So let's see. If I delete that, and let's do this, and I'm gonna mate that to this face. See if that. Okay, that seems to work. I honestly don't understand why SolidWorks like specific mates and not the others, right? Basically, it's doing the same exact thing. And we are all done. Let's clean this mates up. So let's throw in all these are motor mates. I have some parts here. I'm gonna do folder on motor. I want to throw my motor bracket and then the hardware that's holding that bracket down. I'm gonna go ahead and save my assembly. So I have these, right? As this rotates, the gear, the motor rotates. As it rotates, both wheels are rotating. Everything is mated correctly. That's one thing we're gonna check, that this is mated correctly. The teeth are in place. And that's kind of more of a distance, right? To get that close, you're just gonna control the distance, try and get it as close as possible. It's kind of more for a visual. Right here, right, we have this driving the steering. And we are all done with the chassis assembly. Thank you for watching.